So the internet went mainstream, I'd like to say, in the 90s. That's when we had the .com bubble and tons of other, just people trying to make their way on it. Entities trying to figure out how to monetize and best make use of this resource, this brand new resource. Well, here we are, almost 40 some change years later, and really, how this wasn't initially a part of, I guess, hiring protocol, at least from, let's say, like 2000, or maybe I'll go as far as 2006. Like, this is something that should have been part of protocol since 2006. As someone who has helped hire people, and we're talking about for small companies like like Brickface places. We sit down, get the name, and we look at their internet profiles, particularly if you're on Facebook. Definitely the major ones, the Facebooks, MySpaces, and Twitters of the world. If we can find you on there and check you out a little bit and do some recon on you first, then the more information you have, the better. And unfortunately, it really depends on you. The time we live in, most people are willing to post how they truly feel about things online, which is why if you're looking to go into the public sector, and that's really in any capacity, just don't do it. Or if you do it, keep it insanely professional. And I know you may be thinking, hey Jay, isn't this a little hypocritical because you are an elected official? Yeah, but I also made my bones online via internet organizing, so I feel as if I get a bit more leeway, and I'm very, very honest with the people who voted for me. So that's the most important part. But here we have a story from the AP. Racist violent post by police, departments investigating, by Michael Rubenkamp. All right, cool. Police departments in at least 5 states are investigating, in some cases condemning their officers' social media feeds after the weekend publication of a database that appears to catalog thousands of bigoted or violent posts by active duty and former cops. The posts were uncovered by a team of researchers who spent 2 years looking at personal Facebook accounts of police officers from Arizona to Florida. They found officers bashing immigrants and Muslims, promoting racist stereotypes, identifying with right-wing militia groups, and especially glorifying police brutality. All the posts were public. It's a good day for a chokehold, wrote an officer in Phoenix. A sergeant in Philadelphia commented that a young suspect should be taken out back and put down like the rabid animal he is. Another sergeant posted a meme that said, "Death to Islam." In St. Louis, a police official, a police official, that's usually a police officer, but whatever, shared a meme asserting that if the Confederate flag is racist, then so is Black History Month. Ooh, spicy takes, guys. Obviously, some of the posts are very disturbing, said Emily Baker White, a lawyer who launched a Plain View project in 2017. Wow, so it took you. So from my estimates, like I said, this is something that you should have been on top of this in like 2006, and here they are, 2017 was 11 years later. The work, she said, revealed a troubling online subculture that threatens to undermine public confidence in law enforcement. Dude, we ain't got no confidence in law enforcement as is. What are you talking about? Undermine confidence? We know how the police operate. I mean, from stacking charges to, to planting evidence. I mean, let's be real. Police are fallible because they're human. Human beings are fallible. And human beings are very, very flawed. And that doesn't change because you put on a uniform or you're given a badge. It gets in the way of officers' ability to protect everybody out there, she said. My biggest fear is that there are people who are seeing these posts online, who are interacting with these officers, who think the police might not be there for me because I pray differently than they do, or I look differently, or I have a different immigrant status. I don't know why this is reminding me of the movie Crash, where Matt Dillon I think he harassed the black couple, and then later on, when the Thandie Newton's character was in a car accident, she like really didn't want him to help, but he still had to push through and help her because that was the job, that was the thing that that was the position that he was put in. And I honestly would like to think that I'd like to think, and I know this isn't reality. What I'd like to think and reality are two different things. But what I'd like to think is that ultimately, those who take the oath would, when the chips are down and the situation is dire, regardless of their own personal beliefs, put their duty before their beliefs. I mean, that's what I would personally pray for. Police departments often have social media policies that limit what officers may say online. Smart. And most of the departments included in the Plainview database said this week that they are launching investigations into their officers' Facebook feeds. So basically, they're paying people to go to sit down and search Facebook for things that they should have searched for like 11 years ago. St. Louis began an internal affairs probe and announced that officers will undergo sensitivity training after researchers flagged 166 posts by active duty police. The city's prosecutor said Wednesday it had launched a separate review. These posts are disturbing and unacceptable, Mayor Linda Crewson said in a statement. We expect professionalism out of every city employee, no exceptions. But that's where things kind of get muddied and muddled, because when does city employee time end and when does their personal time begin? Right? I mean, it's really interesting, because when I was in the military makes it very, very clear that you are theirs 24/7 until your contract is up. Plain and simple. I'm not sure how it works with police, but I assume like much in the same fashion. Like, you're theirs. You are state property. In Phoenix, Police Chief Jerry Williams has moved some officers to non-enforcement assignments while the police department probes Facebook posts she called embarrassing and disturbing. The database includes nearly 180 posts tied to current Phoenix police officers that disparage Muslims, black people, transgender people, and other groups. They completely contradict how the Phoenix Police Department should speak about the members of our community or others, Williams said in a statement. But that's the thing. I mean, they're dealing with the dregs of societies in many cases. It's no different than any, really, almost mostly any public service position, from police to social worker. You're dealing with a lot of people and a lot of problems, and it's really I believe it becomes hard to not be numb to a lot of things, because that's just what experience does. It just wears at you and wears at you and wears at you. And whereas you'd see that fiend. Here's a great example. The Wire. I will always reference The Wire, but the cop that ended up turning into a teacher, Mr. Pryzbylewski. Yeah, Pryzbylewski. He when he started out as a teacher, he saw these kids and he really wanted to help them and everything else like that. But eventually, he ended up like getting wise to the fact that people are manipulative, and I believe that takes a toll on everyone, and it's not just police or social workers. I mean, I believe that takes a toll on people in general. It's just the experiences that we go through. But when it comes to the police in general, they're only human beings, and so if they have a little outlet, I believe that there should be some leeway for an outlet in order to get out frustrations, because we're only human. York, a small city in south central Pennsylvania, is likewise investigating its officers' post, and the police department will take disciplinary action if any is warranted, said Officer Derek Hartman, a police spokesman. York's social media policy prohibits online conduct that negatively impacts the police department and residents, and so that's very vague, and it's vague for a reason. The database includes a 2014 Facebook post purportedly by Galen Detweiler, a York officer who worked for Baltimore police at the time. Bucket list: punch a guy so hard he poops himself, the post said. The comment had a check mark next. Okay, that wasn't that wasn't made in jest. That's funny. Oh, whatever. 3 years later, Detweiler was caught on video repeatedly punching a female suspect in the face during a struggle outside a York bar. But okay, one doesn't correlate to the other though, because that really feels like a joke. Punch a guy so hard he poops himself. The woman's attorney, Leticia Chavez Freed, said Wednesday she plans to use his 2014 post as an exhibit in a federal lawsuit alleging he used excessive force. You just see how embedded this culture is in punishing instead of policing, a lack of compassion for people who may not look like you, and frankly, a love of violence, she said. York police declined to make Detweiler available for comment. Baker White, a former federal public defender in Philadelphia, got the idea for Plainview after she was assigned to a police brutality case and found an inflammatory social media post by one of the officers involved. That made me ask the question, how prevalent is this stuff? How much of this stuff is out there, she said. Funded by Injustice Watch, a not-for-profit journalism organization, Baker White and her team poured through the Facebook accounts of more than 2,800 current officers and nearly 700 former officers. They wound up flagging posts by 556 of the current officers, and about 1 in 5 of those studied, and 299 former officers. The database includes more than 5,000 posts, as well as comments on the post. The results were jointly published on Saturday by Injustice and BuzzFeed News. Yeah, they love BuzzFeed loves their antagonism. The Lake County, Florida Sheriff's Office said Wednesday it is reviewing posts by 16 deputies, though department policy bars employees from posting material that is unethical, slanderous, derogatory, or that tends to compromise the integrity of the member. Spokesman John Hurl said employees are given a great deal more latitude if they don't identify themselves as members of the law enforcement agency. And in Denison, Texas, City Manager Jedson Rux said that the city, 80 miles, 130 kilometers north of Dallas, does not condone racism or hate of any kind on or off the job and will discipline officers if needed. The Dallas Police Department did not respond to written questions on Wednesday. So, yeah, let's wrap this on up because I believe this is, it's like, wow, way long video. Yeah, so, this was something, like I said in the beginning, that should have been implemented back in at least 2006. 2006, like 2005, 2006. This is when, like, a day late and $1 short, all of these organizations. Because guess what? You got them in there now. Now they're protected by the police unions. So really, you're kind of like, it's a really, really sticky position in which they find themselves in, which they wouldn't have to have if they actually, were in on the internet back in 2006 and was just like, yeah, let's just make this part of our hiring process, going through the social medias and stuff like that. I mean, but hey, you can always depend on government to function very, very slowly and be so far behind that, like now they're probably just looking like for Facebook and YouTube accounts when, there's Gab and freaking 4chan and so many different other outlets and posts. So I think it's really, really funny, and we'll see what happens of this. But either ways, if you enjoyed this video, toss it a like, sub up if you enjoy my fantastic voice, share because sharing is caring, and speak. I mean, let me know. Do you think that do you think there's a correlation between racist or violent posts, saying like shit posting, as opposed to, what do you think the real world implications are in shit posting? Like that one, like, oh, I want to punch a guy so hard he poops. I don't think that correlates into him repeatedly punching on a woman. I just believe that the situation is, I believe the context matters and the situations are different, and I genuinely believe that was a joke. I want to punch a guy so hard till he poops. Oh man. So until the next one.